Results today. That session is going on right now, and we will bring you the debate live as developments occur. Joining us now to help set the stage for this unprecedented day on Capitol Hill and discuss what could happen is Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School and author of Guilt by Accusation, Alan Dershowitz. Also joining us is Distinguished University Professor at Touro College Law School, Thane Rosenbaum. He's the author of Saving Free Speech from Itself. Professor Dershowitz, let me start off with you. Today's vote usually comes and goes with very little fanfare. What is going on right now, and what can happen today? Professor Dershowitz, can you hear us? All right.
I hear you. I'm not getting every single word. This is a constitutional stress test. We know that our Constitution has been subjected to stress tests repeatedly throughout our history. It has always survived. This is yet another stress test. The Republicans know they're not going to win this, but they're stretching, pulling, and tugging the Constitution and the law to the limits of its endurance. But the Constitution will survive. These votes will be defeated. People will have an opportunity to express their views. I commend people for expressing their views. It's important to know, as my former Ted Cruz made clear, that 35% of Americans believe that there are problems with the election. That's what Congress is for, to have debates about these issues. But in the end, the majority wins, and the majority will not vote to undo this election.
Professor Rosenbaum, to you, there's been a lot of focus on the role of the vice president, Mike Pence, in recent days. You heard the president mentioned it today, really egging him on to try to take a very active role here. There was a lawsuit against him, which was thrown out. Talk to our audience about the vice president's role, and in your reading of the relevant law, how much wiggle room does he really have to impact the outcome of the election unilaterally?
Well, the question that we've learned over the last few days, or we've been presented with, is the vice president during this joint session of Congress merely an opener of an envelope and a reader of the tabulated slate of electors for each state alphabetically? Is that his entire role, or does he have unilateral powers under Article 2 of the Constitution, or it might be under the 12th Amendment or the Electoral Count Act of 1887, to do something more, which is the pressure that was placed on him through a lawsuit that went nowhere and through the president's his own urging, that he would simply open up envelopes and, when it came to the battleground states, say, I don't agree with this slate of electors. There's an alternate slate of electors, and they're going to go pick Donald Trump. There's no precedent for that. Nothing like that has ever happened. And one can imagine what would have happened in the year 2000 and the aftermath of Bush v. Gore, Tom, because remember, Al Gore was the vice president. It's often the case that the sitting vice president who presides over the Senate and this joint session of Congress ran for office to become the president. So you can imagine what it would mean to empower the vice president to reject the votes that were against him and choose the votes in his favor and make himself the president of the United States. And our founding fathers never contemplated that kind of concentration of power before. That's what checks and balances are about.
So just yes or no. The answer is the answer to the question: does the vice president have the power to unilaterally reject electors? Yes or no?
The answer is no. And in fact, the vice president himself said that. I think just before the session began, he released the statement in which he said, I've reviewed the Constitution. I don't believe I have a role to act unilaterally in this respect.
All right, we're going to go live now to the floor of the United States Senate, where they are debating whether or not to toss the electors from the state of Arizona. Debate is in progress. Let's go to the floor of the Senate.
And was a first-time voter in 2020. So was Rachel from Tucson, and 1,000 more Arizonans who, for the first time, exercised their constitutional right to decide their own leaders. Today's challenge to Arizona's election fails any factual analysis. More disturbingly, It seeks to rob Jocelyn and Rachel and more than 3 million Arizonans of a free, fair election. Those of us who are trusted with elected office are first and foremost public servants. We serve our constituents. We do not seek to substitute our personal ambitions for the will of the American people. Our system allows for a continuous contest of ideas, and those voters who support the losing side of a free, fair election have not been disenfranchised. Rather, they maintain just as an important a voice in America's future. And leaders have a duty to serve all of our constituents, including those who voted for other candidates. Great leaders in our history face the choice of whether to take an action strengthening our democracy, even if a different action would better serve their political ambitions. Many are revered today because they chose our republic over their self-interests, including my personal hero, Senator John McCain. Following his presidential loss, Senator McCain said, "The American people have spoken. Senator Obama and I have argued our differences, and he has prevailed. Whatever our differences, we are fellow Americans."
All right, and that's a live look at the floor of the U.S. Senate, where they are currently debating Arizona's slate of electors. Professor Rosenbaum, Democrats and some Republicans have said that these challenges, the process that we are seeing unfold here, the commission proposed by Senator Ted Cruz, which I'm sure we will hear about over the next hour or two, is actually damaging to our democracy. It seems a little bit of an extreme charge. Based on your reading of the Constitution, on the process as you know it, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Tom, I just don't agree with that. I think today is a demonstration of the vibrancy of our democracy. You've got tens of thousands of people standing outside of the Capitol, exercising their First Amendment rights of freedom of association and freedom of speech to criticize their government based on public policies or based, in this case, on a federal election. I think that's a romantic idea. This is what the Founding Fathers imagined, that American citizens would be free to object and make their opinions known. And now we're watching both chambers of Congress engaged in a debate that they themselves created the set of procedures for in 1887. This didn't just come out of nowhere. It was based on the election of 1876, and that's when the Electoral Commission was created. The question was that neither Article 2 nor the 12th Amendment set forth procedures of what happens if Congress is objecting to the Electoral College votes. What happens? The Constitution didn't say what to do, neither did the 12th Amendment, so they passed a law. That's what we're doing here today. The law is called the Electoral Count Act, and it set forth the exact procedures that we're looking at right now, Tom.
So this is
2 hours, everybody gets 5 minutes.
So this is not extreme. I mean, one of the things that we're hearing from the left-wing media is that this is really extreme. Look, 46% of Americans believe that there were issues with respect to this election, whether it was fraud, irregularities. They have real questions. And this is following a procedure that was set forth in the law. And just so folks are following along, that is Senator James Lankford from the state of Oklahoma speaking on the floor of the Senate now. Again, they are debating the electors from the state of Arizona. As you know, Joe Biden was certified the winner of Arizona by only about 12 or 14,000 votes. It was one of the closest of the states. And since they start and do this in alphabetical order, we are up to the letter A, and they are debating Arizona. A shot outside of the Capitol, lots going on inside the Capitol, and you just saw a glimpse of the rally that Professor Rosenbaum was talking about. Thousands of people outside the U.S. Capitol who have walked up Pennsylvania Avenue after hearing from the president at the Ellipse near the White House, and they are making their voices known. And in the background there, is the stand, the viewing stand, where the president would be inaugurated in just a couple of weeks. Stay with us, folks. We appreciate it. Appreciate your time and your analysis, Professor Rosenbaum. Stay right here. Coming up, we'll be back with more American Agenda on this historic day in America. After this.
The 2020 election is over, and NewsMax, one of America's leading news outlets, is conducting a national poll. We're asking you if you think President Trump should concede the election to Joe Biden. Press reports call Biden the winner, but President Trump's supporters still have questions. NewsMax wants to know what you think. It just takes a minute to vote, so text us now and register your vote. Let America hear your voice.
For veterans recovering from the wounds of war, supporting one another is a lifesaver.
I served in the United States Army in Vietnam, and that's when I stepped on a landmine that resulted in the traumatic amputation of both of my legs and my left arm above the elbow. I was alive, but I didn't know what the rest of my life had in store for me. Multiple deployments have caused a huge problem with those that served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's difficult for them to come back and adjust to civilian life.
There were moments of frustration. You can't do this anymore, you can't go here anymore. I absolutely felt like I lost my purpose.
I was looking at a long period where I wasn't going to be able to do anything for myself. I just didn't want to be here.
Many veterans feel abandoned or alone till DAV steps into their life.
For 100 years, DAV, Disabled American Veterans, has been supporting veterans and their families in their time of need by helping them receive the care and benefits they've earned. But your help is vital to keeping this promise alive.
The biggest struggle is spending the rest of your life in a wheelchair. DAV showed me it was okay to be a disabled veteran.
The Disabled American Veterans made me feel useful again.
DAV came in when I was still flat on my back and got me through that rough state that I was in.
When you call or go online with your pledge of just $19 a month, we'll send you this DAV blanket as a way you can share your support.
If I can reach out and share with other veterans what I've been through, that's a grand opportunity. And DAV can really make a difference in the lives of many of these veterans.
Please call or go online to helpdav.org and donate now. They've given their all for us. Please open your heart and give what you can to them. There are so many more disabled veterans who still need your support. Please call now or give at helpdav.org. Thank you, and God bless you.
Here's exciting news for veteran homeowners who need cash. Refi Plus from New Day USA. It lets you refinance at today's record low rates plus get cash. With mortgage rates low and home values high, Refi Plus can help you lower your rate plus turn your home equity into an average of $50,000. Money for security today, money for retirement tomorrow. Refi Plus from New Day USA.
Call 1-844-934-2591.
And welcome back to American Agenda. I'm Tom Basile in for Bob Sellers. Right now, inside the U.S. Capitol, debate is underway regarding the certification of the Electoral College's 2020 election results. And outside the Capitol is tens of thousands, or at least thousands, of the president's supporters who have marched up Pennsylvania Avenue and are rallying outside of the Capitol. And right now, they're debating the electors from the state of Arizona. And both the House and the Senate have adjourned, and they are conducting simultaneous debate. It'll be 2 hours of debate. It'll come to a conclusion during during our program here. They will each then vote, and then they will reconvene to advance down the alphabet of states. We are expecting that Pennsylvania, there will be objections to the state electors in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, and perhaps others. We'd also like to welcome back one of our legal analysts today, Thane Rosenbaum, Distinguished University Professor at Touro College Law School. He's also the author of the book, Saving Free Speech from Itself. Professor, we were just talking about the vice president's role in all of this. The president seems to think that the vice president has legal authority to reject these electors. You disagree with that. A lot of other folks who have looked at the Constitution and the Electoral Count Act disagree with that. As you have started to listen to this debate in the House and in the Senate, is there anything so far that has struck you in the way that either the Republicans or the Democrats are making their arguments here?
Well, Tom, yes. But before I do that, I just want to say there is a difference between what you and I were talking about before, damaging to democracy, and something that's unprecedented.
Right. Certainly.
What we have here is something that's unprecedented. We've never done this. And the reason for it is we've never had both senators and congresspersons together writing letters objecting to the slate of votes from the Electoral College. We've had individual congresspersons stand up and object, but we never actually retired to separate chambers to have a debate because we've never had a consensus with a senator and Congress. That just means it's unprecedented, and that's we're testing that out right now. Going back to your point, I'll tell you what I think is interesting of what I've seen so far. We're not really talking about massive fraud. We're not using the language that the president uses, which I thought was a mistake. Stolen election, massive fraud. What you're hearing now are constitutional arguments. I know I've been on NewsMax for the last 5 weeks raising these constitutional questions about the legitimacy of the modifying election rules that permitted all of these mail-in ballots in unprecedented ways. That's different. We're usually talking about stealing and fraud and how widespread it is. And I think you're going to see more senators talking about the Constitution and the way in which the election rules under Article 2, which are the responsibility of state legislators, somehow got modified by state election officials and judges. And that is not what the Founding Fathers contemplated.
Yeah, and that's an issue, Professor, that certainly we're going to be talking about far beyond today. Thane Rosenbaum, thank you so much for your analysis, for joining us on this historic day in America. You know, in the old days, you used to watch TV sitting on the couch at home. Now everybody's watching it everywhere. Now, whether you're in your car or you're waiting in your doctor's office or you're on your smartphone, NewsMax TV has a great app and you can use it to watch us anywhere. Just download the free app on your smartphone, on your iPhone or your Android phone, and start watching. It's free, it's really nice, and that's the NewsMax app is unlike so many others. There's no charge for it. So if you want to watch Fox or CNN or MSNBC or most of the other cable networks, you have to have some kind of subscription. There's a whole hassle. Yeah, I got to log on. Not NewsMax. We are 100% free. And that's why millions of people are downloading our app and using our app and watching us on what they call these OTT devices, over-the-top devices. And it takes probably less than a minute. So head on over to the App Store on your iPhone or your Android phone right now and download NewsMax TV's app. The NewsMax app is now one of the most downloaded free apps in the Apple Store. Head on over and get it now. We're sure you're going to like it. Coming up, we'll be back with more American Agenda after this.